The Cedar Grove Chapel was steeped in grief, its stained glass windows casting a faint glow over mourners dressed in black. The air hung heavy with lilies and stifled sobs, the silence broken only by rustling fabric. A dark oak casket rested at the aisle's center, a folded American flag atop it, honoring Lucas Bennett, a 32-year-old soldier lost to a covert mission. Abigail Turner, his sister, sat in the front pew, her brown hair pinned tight, green eyes red with tears, her hands clutching a soaked tissue. Soldiers stood in rigid formation, faces stoic, but their eyes betrayed their pain. At the chapel's entrance, Nova, Lucas's 4-year-old German Shepherd K9, strained against her leash, held by an officer. Her black and tan coat bore scars from battles fought with Lucas, her brown eyes searching, chest heaving as if she sensed a void. "Easy, Nova," the officer whispered, voice cracking. Abigail glanced back, heart aching for the dog who'd been Lucas's shadow. "She shouldn't be here," she murmured, voice barely audible. "It's too cruel." The chaplain began, voice soft but weighted. "We honor Lucas Bennett, a man of courage and sacrifice." But a low whimper cut through, Nova's body trembling, eyes locked on the casket. Abigail's breath caught, tears spilling. "Nova," she whispered, voice breaking. "He's gone." Nova's whimper became a desperate bark, and with a fierce tug, she broke free, leash slipping. Gasps echoed as she sprinted down the aisle, nails clicking, and leaped into the casket, landing on Lucas's chest. The flag shifted, and mourners froze, stunned by the sight of Nova sniffing frantically, her whimpers raw, pleading for Lucas to stir. She curled against him, head on his shoulder, eyes closing in a heart-rending vigil. "Get her down!" a soldier hissed, but Sergeant Ethan Walsh grabbed his arm, voice low, fierce. "Let her grieve." Abigail stumbled forward, sobbing. "Nova, he's not coming back." Nova didn't move, her whine piercing every heart. The chaplain's eyes glistened. "She's saying goodbye, Abigail." The silence was crushing, every eye wet, until Nova's ears twitched, her body stiffening. She stared beyond the casket, tail flicking once, as if seeing something unseen. A chill ran through Abigail. "What's there, girl?" she whispered. Ethan's voice was hoarse. "She's looking at nothing." Mourners shifted, uneasy, as Nova's gaze held, her whine softening, hopeful. Then, with a heavy sigh, she lay back down, accepting a truth too vast. But as Abigail reached for Nova, her fingers brushed the flag, and a metal tag, not Lucas's, engraved. Project Vanguard. Nova growled, eyes fixed on it, as if it were a threat. Abigail's heart raced, voice trembling. "Lucas, what did you die for?" Nova's growl deepened, her body coiled, ready to protect. Ethan stepped closer, voice urgent. "Abigail, that tag, Lucas never had it. We need to talk." The chapel's silence turned to murmurs, Nova's act unveiling a secret that could unravel Lucas's death, setting Abigail and her brother's loyal K9 on a path to a truth that would break hearts. The Cedar Grove dusk draped the small Montana town in a quiet chill, its streets lined with modest homes and flickering streetlights. 3 years ago, Lucas Bennett was a force, broad-shouldered, quick with a laugh, a soldier who faced death without flinching. Nova, his 4-year-old German Shepherd K9, was his shadow, her black and tan coat scarred from missions in dusty outposts, her instincts razor-sharp. Together, they'd hunted insurgents, sniffed out explosives, and saved countless lives, their bond a lifeline in chaos. But a covert op, shrouded in secrecy, had claimed Lucas, leaving Nova adrift and his sister, Abigail Turner, to pick up the pieces. Abigail sat in her cozy living room, the weight of Lucas's funeral still crushing her. Her brown hair hung loose, her green eyes red from crying, her hands clutching the mysterious Project Vanguard tag found in his casket. Nova lay at her feet, her ears perked, her growl a low hum as she stared at the door. The tag, not Lucas's, had sparked Nova's fierce reaction, a clue to a truth Abigail couldn't ignore. Sergeant Ethan Walsh's urgent words, "We need to talk," echoed, hinting at a secret that had cost her brother his life. "Lucas, what were you hiding?" Abigail whispered, her voice trembling, fingers tracing the tag's engraving. Nova whined, nudging her hand, her brown eyes intense, as if urging her to act. The doorbell rang, sharp and jarring, and Nova's growl deepened, her body tensing. Abigail stood, heart racing, and opened the door to Ethan, his rugged frame filling the doorway, his dark eyes shadowed with grief. "Abigail," he said, voice low, "we can't wait. That tag, it's trouble." Abigail's grip tightened on the tag, her voice unsteady. "Trouble? Ethan, it was in Lucas's casket. Nova went crazy over it." "What's Project Vanguard?" Ethan stepped inside, glancing at Nova, who watched him warily. "It's classified," he said, his tone grim. "Lucas was on a black op. Something went wrong." "That tag shouldn't be here. Someone's covering their tracks." Nova's growl turned sharp, her nose sniffing the air, pointing to the window. Abigail's pulse spiked, her voice urgent. "Nova, what's out there?" She peered through the blinds, catching a glint, a black SUV idling across the street, its tinted windows ominous. Ethan drew his sidearm, his voice low. "Get down, Abigail." "We're not alone," Nova barked, positioning herself between them and the door, her canine instincts flaring. Abigail's heart pounded, the funeral's eerie moment replaying. Nova staring at nothing, as if seeing Lucas. "Ethan," she said, voice shaking. Nova knew something was wrong at the chapel. "She's trying to tell us." The SUV's engine roared, tires screeching as it sped away, but Nova's growl didn't fade. Ethan holstered his gun, his face grim. "Lucas was digging into Vanguard. He told me it was bigger than we thought. Experimental tech, off the books. He died because he got too close." Abigail's eyes burned, her voice fierce. "Too close to what?" "Ethan, he was my brother." "I deserve the truth." Ethan hesitated, his voice heavy. He didn't trust the chain of command. Said someone high up was dirty. "That tag, it's a key to encrypted files, maybe proof of what he found." A sharp buzz interrupted. Abigail's phone, a text from an unknown number. "Stop digging or join him." Her breath caught, the threat chilling. "Ethan, they're watching us," she whispered, showing him the screen. Nova's bark echoed, her body coiled, as if sensing a threat beyond the walls. Ethan's jaw clenched, his voice urgent. "We need Sophie Carter, a hacker I know. She can crack that tag's encryption." "But, Abigail, this is dangerous. Are you in?" Abigail's gaze fell to Nova, the dog's steady presence a lifeline. "For Lucas," she said, voice resolute. "For Nova, I'm in." Nova's growl softened, her eyes meeting Abigail's, a vow of loyalty. But as they prepared to leave, a faint click came from the backyard, a metallic snap like a device activating. Abigail froze, her voice a whisper. "Ethan, what was that?" Ethan rushed to the back door, Nova at his heels, and found a small, blinking tracker hidden in the shrubs, its red light pulsing. "They've been here," he said, crushing it under his boot, his voice grim. "Since the funeral." The twist hit Abigail like a shock. The tag wasn't just a clue, it was a beacon, planted to track them. Nova's bark rang out, her nose pointing to the woods where a shadow moved, vanishing into the dusk. "Lucas knew," Abigail said, her voice trembling with rage. "He died for this, and Nova's not letting it go." Ethan nodded, his hand on Nova's collar. "Neither are we. Let's move." They slipped into the night, Nova leading, her instincts a guiding star. The tracker's wreckage was a warning, but the tag in Abigail's hand was a promise. To uncover Lucas's truth, no matter the cost, with his loyal K9 by her side. The Cedar Grove night was a canvas of shadows, the Montana air sharp with frost, as Abigail Turner and Sergeant Ethan Walsh slipped through the back streets, Nova leading the way. Abigail, 36, clutched the Project Vanguard tag from Lucas's casket, her brown hair loose, green eyes burning with resolve despite her grief. Nova, Lucas's 4-year-old German Shepherd K9, moved with purpose, her black and tan coat scarred, her ears perked, a low growl rumbling as she sniffed the air. The funeral's haunting image, Nova curled against Lucas, staring at an unseen presence, lingered, but the tag, the threatening text, and the tracker in Abigail's yard had turned her brother's death into a chilling mystery. Ethan, rugged and battle-worn, kept pace, his dark eyes scanning for threats, his sidearm ready. Abigail's heart pounded, the tag's weight a constant reminder of Lucas's sacrifice. "Ethan, this Vanguard thing, what was Lucas into?" she asked, her voice low, trembling with anger and fear. Ethan's jaw clenched, his voice grim. "He was chasing something big, experimental tech, off the books. He didn't trust anyone, not even me. That tag's a key to encrypted files, maybe proof of who killed him." Nova's growl sharpened, her nose twitching, pointing to an alley where a faint hum echoed, a drone, its red light blinking in the dark. Abigail's pulse spiked, her voice urgent. "Ethan, they're still tracking us. That SUV, the text. They know we have the tag." Ethan drew his gun, his voice low. "Stay close, Abigail. Nova, find." The dog surged forward, her K9 instincts guiding them through the maze of Cedar Grove's outskirts, her nose locked on a scent. They reached a rundown motel, its neon sign flickering, a safe house Ethan knew from his Army days. "Sophie Carter's here," he said, knocking on a door. "She's our shot at cracking this." The door creaked open, revealing Sophie, a wiry hacker in her late 20s, her blonde hair cropped, her blue eyes sharp behind glasses. "Ethan, you look like hell," she said, ushering them inside, her gaze softening at Nova. "This the dog from the funeral? Damn, she's a legend." Abigail handed Sophie the tag, her voice steady but urgent. "Lucas died for this. It's tied to Project Vanguard. Can you open it?" Sophie plugged the tag into a laptop, her fingers flying. "Military-grade encryption," she muttered, her screen flashing code. "This isn't just a tag, it's a data key." "Give me a minute." Nova paced, her growl low, her eyes fixed on the window, as if sensing eyes in the dark. Ethan stood guard, his voice tense. "Hurry, Sophie. Whoever's after us isn't waiting." But Nova's bark erupted, sharp and fierce, her nose pointing to the door. Abigail's heart raced, her voice a whisper. "Nova, what's out there?" The door exploded inward, splintering under a battering ram, and 3 masked gunmen stormed in, their rifles raised. "Tag! Now!" one shouted, his voice muffled, aiming at Abigail. Nova lunged, her training a blur, tackling the lead gunman, her jaws clamping onto his arm. He screamed, his rifle clattering, as Ethan fired, dropping another. Sophie grabbed a taser, zapping the third, her voice fierce. "Get the hell out of my room!" Abigail dove for cover, clutching the laptop, her voice desperate. "Nova, hold!" The dog pinned the gunman, growling, as Ethan cuffed him. But the man's radio crackled, a chilling voice cutting through. "No survivors. Vanguard stays buried." Ethan's face paled, his voice urgent. "They're not just after the tag, they're cleaning house." "Sophie, what's on it?" Sophie's screen lit up, a file loading. "Project. Vanguard Biotech Protocol." "It's a weapons program," she said, her voice trembling. "Nanotech, human enhancement, tested on soldiers." Lucas was flagged as a test subject. Abigail's blood ran cold, the twist a gut punch. "Test subject?" she whispered, her voice breaking. "They experimented on my brother? That's why he died?" Nova's growl turned frantic, her nose sniffing a crate in the corner, her paws scratching at it. Ethan pried it open, revealing a small encrypted drive and a photo. Lucas, strapped to a lab table, Nova beside him, muzzled, with a man in a lab coat labeled Dr. H. Lawson. Abigail's heart stopped, her voice raw. They used Nova, too. She was there. The gunman laughed, blood on his lips. "You're dead, lady. Lawson's untouchable. Vanguard's bigger than you know." Nova's bark was a thunderclap, her teeth inches from the man's throat, but headlights flared outside, more of Holt's men closing in. Ethan grabbed the drive, his voice fierce. "We're out of time. Sophie, upload what you've got to the FBI." Sophie's fingers flew, her voice grim. "It's streaming, but they'll trace it. We need to move." But the motel's walls shook, a deafening blast rocking the parking lot, flames licking the windows. Abigail screamed, shielding Nova, her voice desperate. "Ethan, they're trying to bury us!" Blaze led them to a back exit, his instincts navigating the smoke, his barks guiding Abigail through the chaos. Ethan fired at the advancing gunman, his voice a roar. "Keep moving. We've got the proof. Don't let it burn." They burst into the alley, the motel ablaze, but a new figure emerged, a woman in a hooded jacket, dropping a burner phone before vanishing. Abigail grabbed it, the screen flashing. "Lawson's at Blackstone. Go now." Her heart raced, the twist chilling. Someone was helping them, but why? "Nova," Abigail said, her voice thick with resolve. "You knew, didn't you? You're still fighting for Lucas." The dog's eyes met hers, a vow of loyalty, as the flames roared behind them, the drive their only hope against a conspiracy that had claimed her brother's life. The Cedar Grove night was a battlefield, the Montana fog swallowing the glow of streetlights, as Abigail Turner, Ethan Walsh, and Sophie Carter fled the burning motel, Nova leading the charge. Abigail, 36, clutched the encrypted drive from the safe house, her brown hair matted with soot, green eyes blazing with determination despite her grief. Nova, Lucas Bennett's 4-year-old German Shepherd K9, surged ahead, her black and tan coat scarred, her growl a steady pulse, her instincts honed by battles fought alongside her fallen handler. The Project Vanguard files, proof of a deadly nanotech program tested on Lucas and Nova, were their lifeline. But the motel attack and the burner phone's message Lawson's at Blackstone. Go now had thrust them into a deadly game. Dr. Henry Lawson, the scientist behind Vanguard, was their target, but his mercenaries were closing in. Abigail's heart raced, the drive heavy in her pocket, the motel's flames fading behind them. "Ethan, how do we even find Blackstone?" she asked, her voice trembling, the weight of Lucas's death fueling her resolve. "Lawson's got an army." Ethan, rugged and battle-scarred, checked his gun, his dark eyes scanning the fog. "It's a black site off-grid, near the old quarry. Lucas mentioned it once. Said it was Vanguard's hub." "Nova'll get us there." Nova's ears twitched, her nose sniffing the air, a low bark guiding them through Cedar Grove's outskirts. Sophie, the hacker, clutched her laptop, her blonde hair tucked under a cap, her voice sharp. "I'm still streaming the files to the FBI, but Lawson's team is jamming the signal. We need to get closer to a tower." Abigail's grip tightened on Nova's leash, her voice raw. "Lucas died for this, Sophie. Nova was there. They experimented on her, too. We're ending this. For them." The dog whined, pressing against Abigail's leg, her brown eyes fierce, as if vowing to finish Lucas's fight. But the roar of engines cut through the fog. Motorcycles, Lawson's mercenaries, their headlights piercing the mist. Ethan's voice was urgent. "Into the woods now! Nova, lead!" They plunged into the pine forest, Nova's instincts navigating the uneven terrain, her barks a beacon in the dark. Branches snapped underfoot, the mercenaries' shouts echoing, their flashlights slicing through the trees. Abigail's lungs burned, her mind racing. Lucas strapped to a lab table, Nova muzzled, Lawson's cold gaze. "Ethan," she gasped. "Why Lucas? Why Nova?" Ethan's voice was grim, dodging a low branch. "Vanguard's nanotech. It boosts strength, reflexes, but it's unstable. Lucas was a perfect candidate, and Nova, they wanted to control canines, make them weapons. Lucas fought back." Nova's bark turned sharp, her nose pointing to a clearing where a rusted gate loomed, its sign barely legible. Blackstone Facility. Abigail's heart pounded, the burner phone's message a chilling guide. "This is it," she said, voice steady despite the fear. "Lawson's here." Sophie hacked the gate's keypad, her voice tense. "Security's offline, but they know we're coming. Stay sharp." Nova led them inside, her growl deepening, her body low as they entered a sprawling compound. Concrete bunkers, satellite dishes, the hum of generators. The air was thick with the scent of oil and metal, a fortress hiding Vanguard's sins. They reached a steel door, Nova pawing at it, her teeth bared. Ethan kicked it open, revealing a lab, monitors, vials, and a terminal flashing Vanguard protocol, active. Abigail's stomach churned, the photo of Lucas and Nova in that lab haunting her. "This is where they did it," she whispered, voice breaking. "They turned my brother into a lab rat." Nova's growl erupted, her nose sniffing a crate, her paws scratching frantically. Sophie pried it open, revealing a hard drive labeled Subject 17, Bennett, and a syringe marked Nano Serum. Ethan's face paled, his voice hoarse. They didn't just test Lucas, they weaponized him. Before Abigail could respond, the lab's lights flared and a cold voice echoed. "You're too late, Turner." Dr. Henry Lawson stepped from the shadows, a gaunt man in his 50s, his lab coat pristine, flanked by 4 armed mercenaries. Bennett was a failure, but his data, and that dog's, will perfect Vanguard. Abigail's blood boiled, her voice fierce. You killed my brother. You used Nova. You're a monster, Lawson. Lawson's smile was ice, his gun aimed at Abigail. Progress demands sacrifice. Hand over the drive, or you all die. Nova lunged, her K9 training a blur, tackling a mercenary, her jaws clamping onto his arm. The man screamed, his rifle clattering as Ethan fired, dropping another. Sophie threw her taser, zapping a third, her voice defiant. Eat this, creep! Abigail dove for cover, clutching the drive, her voice desperate. Nova, hold! But Lawson fired, the bullet grazing Nova's flank, her yelp piercing Abigail's heart. No! She screamed, scrambling to the dog, who staggered but held her ground, growling. Ethan tackled Lawson, wrestling the gun free, his voice a roar. You're done, Lawson! The twist came as the lab's monitors flickered, a live feed showing a man in a suit. General Victor Hale, a Pentagon official, watching from a remote location. Hale's voice crackled through a speaker. Lawson, eliminate them. Vanguard must proceed. Abigail's blood ran cold. Hale, not Lawson, was the mastermind, and Lucas's death was just the start. Nova, Abigail whispered, her hand on the dog's bloodied fur, voice breaking. You knew, didn't you? You're still fighting for Lucas. Nova's eyes met hers, a vow of loyalty, as she barked, defying the pain. Ethan cuffed Lawson, his voice fierce. Sophie, get that feed to the FBI, now! Sophie's fingers flew, her voice grim. It's uploading, but Hale's men are coming, fast. The lab shook, an explosion rocking the compound, flames licking the walls. Abigail scooped up the drive, her voice resolute. We're not dying here. Nova, lead! The dog surged, her instincts guiding them through the smoke, her barks a lifeline as Hale's mercenaries closed in. The truth about Vanguard, a fire they couldn't let burn out. The Montana night was a cloak of chaos, the Cedar Grove fog swirling with smoke as Abigail Turner, Ethan Walsh, and Sophie Carter fled the burning Blackstone facility, Nova limping but resolute at their side. Abigail, 36, clutched the Project Vanguard hard drive, her brown hair singed, green eyes fierce with determination despite the terror gripping her heart. Nova, Lucas Bennett's 4-year-old German Shepherd K9, growled through the pain of her grazed flank, her black and tan coat bloodied, her instincts unwavering. The drive held proof of a deadly nanotech program tested on Lucas and Nova, orchestrated by Dr. Henry Lawson under General Victor Hale's command. The lab's explosion and Hale's chilling order, eliminate them, had turned their escape into a desperate race for survival. Abigail's lungs burned, her voice ragged as she steadied Nova. Hang on, girl. We're getting out of this. The dog's brown eyes met hers, a spark of loyalty that echoed Lucas's courage, fueling Abigail's resolve. Ethan, his rugged frame bruised, checked his gun, his dark eyes scanning the fog-shrouded quarry. Hale's men are circling, he said, voice low, urgent. We need to reach the FBI drop point, 2 miles north. Sophie, can you keep the upload going? Sophie, her blonde hair tucked under a cap, clutched her laptop, her blue eyes sharp despite the chaos. It's at 60%, she said, fingers flying. But their jammers are strong. We need a clear signal, fast. Nova's growl deepened, her nose sniffing the air, pointing to a narrow path through the pines. Abigail's heart pounded, the drive a ticking bomb in her pocket. Ethan, Hale's a general. How do we fight someone that powerful? She asked, voice trembling with rage for Lucas. Ethan's jaw clenched, his voice grim. Lucas knew Hale was dirty. That's why he was killed. Vanguard's not just nanotech. It's a weapon, and Hale's selling it to the highest bidder. They pushed through the forest, Nova leading, her limp slowing her but her instincts razor-sharp. The roar of engines echoed. Hale's mercenaries, their motorcycles cutting through the fog, flashlights slicing the dark. Abigail's breath hitched, the motel attack flashing in her mind. Nova's yelp, Lawson's cold smile. "Nova," she whispered, hand on the dog's flank. "You're tougher than they know." The path opened to a derelict quarry, its rusted cranes looming like ghosts. Nova's bark turned sharp, her nose zeroing in on a hidden bunker, its steel door ajar. "She's got something," Ethan said, kicking it open, revealing a cache of Vanguard tech, vials, hard drives, and a monitor flashing Test Subject 17, Bennett. Abigail's stomach churned, a video loading. Lucas, wired to machines, Nova muzzled beside him, their vitals spiking as Lawson injected a serum. Abigail's voice broke, tears streaming. "They tortured them, Ethan." "My brother, Nova. They weren't soldiers to Hale, they were experiments." Sophie plugged her laptop into the terminal, her voice tense. "This is gold. Test logs, buyer lists. I'm uploading now, but we're sitting ducks." Nova's growl erupted, her body coiling, pointing to the bunker's entrance as boots crunched outside. 6 mercenaries, rifles raised, led by a scarred man in tactical gear. "Drive now," the leader barked, aiming at Abigail. Nova surged, her K9 training a blur, tackling the man, her jaws clamping his arm. He screamed, rifle clattering, as Ethan fired, dropping 2 others. Sophie threw a wrench, hitting a 4th, her voice fierce. "Stay away from my rig." Abigail grabbed a pipe, swinging at a 5th, her voice raw. "For Lucas." But a 6th mercenary aimed at Nova, his shot grazing her shoulder. The dog yelped, staggering, and Abigail screamed, diving to shield her. "Nova, no!" Ethan tackled the shooter, cuffing him, his voice desperate. "Abigail, keep her steady!" Nova's eyes fluttered, blood seeping, but she growled, refusing to fall. Abigail pressed her jacket to the wound, sobbing. "Stay with me, girl. You're Lucas's hero. You can't leave me." Nova's whine was a vow, her body trembling but resolute. The twist came as Sophie's laptop pinged, a new file loading, a memo from Hale, naming Ethan as a Vanguard operative. Abigail's heart stopped, her voice shaking. "Ethan, you were part of this. You knew what they did to Lucas?" Ethan's face paled, his voice raw. "No, Abigail, I swear. I was undercover trying to stop Hale. Lucas asked me to infiltrate Vanguard, but I failed him. I didn't know they'd kill him." Nova's growl softened, her eyes on Ethan, as if sensing his truth. But Abigail's trust wavered, her voice fierce. "You should have told me, Ethan. Lucas trusted you, and now he's gone." Sophie's voice cut through, urgent. "Guys, we've got bigger problems. Uploads at 90%, but Hale's sending a strike team. We're out of time." The bunker shook, a second explosion rocking the quarry, flames licking the entrance. Abigail scooped up the drive, her voice resolute. "Nova, we're not done. Lead us out." The dog staggered to her feet, bloodied but unbroken, her bark guiding them through the smoke as drones buzzed overhead, their red lights hunting. Ethan grabbed Abigail's arm, his voice thick with regret. "I failed Lucas, but I won't fail you. Nova trusts me. Give me a chance to prove it." Abigail nodded, tears falling, her hand on Nova's trembling flank. "For Lucas, for Nova. But if you're lying, Ethan, I'll let her tear you apart." Nova's growl was a promise, her instincts a lifeline as they fled, the drive their weapon against Hale's empire. But Ethan's secret and the drone's hum warned of a fight far from over. The Montana dawn broke in shards of gray, the Cedar Grove forest a tangle of fog and frost as Abigail Turner, Ethan Walsh, and Sophie Carter pushed through the pines, Nova staggering but resolute at their side. Abigail, 36, gripped the Project Vanguard hard drive, her brown hair matted with dirt, green eyes fierce despite the exhaustion clawing at her. Nova, Lucas Bennett's 4-year-old German Shepherd K9, limped on her bloodied shoulder, her black and tan coat scarred, her growl a defiant pulse. The drive held evidence of a nanotech weapon tested on Lucas and Nova, orchestrated by General Victor Hale through Dr. Henry Lawson. Ethan's revelation, he'd been an undercover operative in Vanguard, had shaken Abigail's trust, but Nova's faith in him kept her moving. The quarry's flames and Hale's drones a relentless threat. Abigail's breath fogged the air, her voice raw as she pressed a cloth to Nova's wound. "You're a fighter, girl. Just like Lucas. We're not giving up." Nova's brown eyes met hers, a spark of loyalty that fueled Abigail's resolve. Ethan, his rugged frame bruised, scanned the trees, gun drawn, his dark eyes haunted. "Hale's team is closing in," he said, voice low, urgent. "We need to reach the old comms tower. It's our only shot at a clear signal to the FBI." Sophie, clutching her laptop, her blonde hair tucked under a cap, nodded, her blue eyes sharp. "Uploads stalled at 90%. That tower's a mile out, but Hale's jammers are everywhere." Nova's growl sharpened, her nose sniffing a path through the underbrush, her limp slowing her, but her instincts unwavering. Abigail's heart pounded, the drive a lifeline, Ethan's betrayal gnawing at her. "Ethan, you were in Vanguard," she said, voice trembling with anger. "How do I know you're not still playing us?" Ethan's jaw clenched, his voice thick with regret. "I swore to Lucas I'd stop Hale. I failed him, Abigail. But I'm not failing you." "Nova trusts me. Let that be enough for now." Nova whined, pressing against Abigail's leg, her eyes flicking to Ethan as if vouching for him. Abigail's trust wavered, but she nodded, voice firm. "For Nova. For Lucas. But no more secrets." They reached a clearing, the comms tower's rusted silhouette looming against the dawn. Nova's bark turned urgent, her nose pointing to a hidden bunker, its door cracked open. "She's got something," Ethan said, prying it open, revealing a cache of Vanguard equipment. Servers, vials, and a monitor displaying Subject 17, Bennett, nano failure. A log detailed Lucas's death, nanotech overload, triggered remotely by Hale to silence him. Abigail's voice broke, tears streaming. "They murdered him, Ethan. Turned his own body against him. And Nova. She was next." Sophie plugged her laptop into the server, her voice tense. "This is everything. Test data. Hale's orders. I'm bypassing the jammers, but we're exposed here." Nova's growl erupted, her body coiling, pointing to the trees as engines roared. Hale's mercenaries, 6 strong, their rifles glinting in the fog. "Drive now!" one shouted, aiming at Abigail. Nova surged, her K9 training a blur despite her wounds, tackling the leader, her jaws clamping his wrist. He screamed, rifle falling, as Ethan fired, dropping 2 others. Sophie threw a flare, blinding a third, her voice fierce. "Stay away from my data." Abigail swung a branch, knocking a 4th, her voice raw. "This is for Lucas!" But a 5th mercenary aimed at Nova, his shot grazing her leg. The dog yelped, collapsing, and Abigail screamed, diving to shield her. "Nova, hold on!" Ethan tackled the shooter, his voice desperate. "Abigail, keep her steady." Nova's eyes fluttered, blood pooling, but she growled, refusing to yield. Abigail pressed her hands to the wound, sobbing. "You're not leaving me, girl. Lucas needs you to fight." Nova's whine was a vow, her body trembling but defiant. The twist came as Sophie's laptop pinged, a new file loading, a video of Ethan in a Vanguard lab overseeing a test on Nova. Abigail's heart stopped, her voice shaking. "Ethan, you lied. You weren't just undercover, you ran tests on her." Ethan's face crumpled, his voice raw. "I had no choice, Abigail. Hale would have killed Lucas if I didn't comply. I rigged the tests to fail, to save her. I'm why she's still here." Nova's growl softened, her eyes on Ethan, as if forgiving him. But Abigail's rage boiled, her voice fierce. "You used her, Ethan. Lucas trusted you and you broke him." Sophie's voice cut through, urgent. "Uploads at 95%. But drones are incoming. Hale's not giving up." The clearing shook, a drone's missile exploding nearby, flames licking the trees. Abigail scooped up the drive, her voice resolute. "Nova, we're moving. Lead us out." Nova staggered to her feet, bloodied but unbroken, her bark guiding them through the smoke as drones buzzed closer, their red lights hunting. Ethan grabbed Abigail's arm, his voice thick with guilt. "I failed Lucas, but I'll die before I fail you and Nova. Let me prove it." Abigail's eyes burned, her hand on Nova's trembling flank. "You get one chance, Ethan. For her." Nova's growl was a promise, her instincts a lifeline as they fled, the drive their weapon against Hale's empire. But Ethan's deeper betrayal and the drone's relentless pursuit warned of a reckoning that could break them all. The Cedar Grove forest was a labyrinth of mist and menace, the Montana dawn barely piercing the canopy as Abigail Turner, Ethan Walsh, and Sophie Carter stumbled through the pines, Nova limping fiercely at their side. Abigail, 36, clutched the Project Vanguard hard drive, her brown hair tangled with leaves, green eyes burning with a mix of grief and fury. Nova, Lucas Bennett's 4-year-old German Shepherd K9, growled through the pain of her wounded leg and shoulder, her black and tan coat matted with blood, her instincts unyielding. The drive held damning evidence of a nanotech weapon tested on Lucas and Nova, orchestrated by General Victor Hale. Ethan's betrayal, he'd overseen tests on Nova as an undercover operative, had shattered Abigail's trust. But Nova's loyalty to him kept her tethered, the quarry's explosion and Hale's drones a relentless shadow. Abigail's breath rasped, her hand steadying Nova, voice thick with desperation. "You're stronger than they know, girl. We're doing this for Lucas." Nova's brown eyes met hers, a spark of defiance that mirrored her brother's courage. Ethan, bruised and grim, scanned the fog, gun drawn, his dark eyes haunted by guilt. "Hale's drones are circling," he said, voice low, urgent. "We need to reach the old airstrip. FBI's got a chopper waiting, half a mile out." Sophie, gripping her laptop, blonde hair tucked under a cap, nodded, her blue eyes sharp. "Uploads at 98%, but the signal's weak. That airstrip's our shot." Nova's growl sharpened, her nose sniffing a path through the underbrush, her limp a painful rhythm, but her purpose clear. Abigail's heart pounded, Ethan's deception a raw wound. "You tested her, Ethan," she said, voice trembling with betrayal. "You watched them hurt Nova, hurt Lucas." How do I trust you now? Ethan's face crumpled, his voice raw. I rigged those tests to fail, Abigail. I saved Nova, kept her alive for Lucas. I failed him, but I'm here for you. Let me make it right. Nova whined, nudging Ethan's leg, her trust a fragile bridge. Abigail's eyes burned, voice fierce. She believes you, Ethan. Don't make her wrong. They reached a clearing, the airstrip's cracked tarmac glinting under dawn's light, a rusted hangar looming. Nova's bark turned urgent, her nose zeroing in on a hidden crate near the hangar, her paws scratching frantically. Ethan pried it open, revealing a cache of Vanguard tech, nanotech vials, a hard drive labeled Hail Protocol, and a photo, Lucas, mid-mission, with a man in a suit, Hale, shaking hands with a foreign buyer. Abigail's voice broke, tears falling. They sold him out, Ethan. Lucas wasn't just a test subject. He was a threat to Hale's deal. Sophie plugged her laptop into the drive, her voice tense. This is it. Buyer names, transfer logs, Hale's selling Vanguard to mercenaries. I'm uploading, but we're exposed. Nova's growl erupted, her body coiling, pointing to the trees as engines roared. Hale's strike team, 8 strong, their rifles glinting in the fog. Drive now, one shouted, aiming at Abigail. Nova surged, her K9 training defying her wounds, tackling the leader, her jaws clamping his arm. He screamed, rifle falling as Ethan fired, dropping 2 others. Sophie threw a flare, blinding a third, her voice fierce. Stay away from my signal. Abigail swung a pipe, knocking a 4th, her voice raw. This is for Lucas. But a 5th mercenary aimed at Nova, his shot grazing her side. The dog yelped, collapsing, and Abigail screamed, diving to shield her. Nova, stay with me! Ethan tackled the shooter, his voice desperate. Abigail, keep her breathing! Nova's eyes fluttered, blood pooling, but she growled, her spirit unbroken. Abigail pressed her hands to the wound, sobbing. You're Lucas's hero, girl. Don't leave me now. Nova's whine was a vow, her body trembling but defiant. The twist came as Sophie's laptop pinged, a hidden file loading, a video of Ethan, not just testing Nova, but meeting Hale in secret, discussing Subject 17 termination. Abigail's heart stopped, her voice shaking. Ethan, you planned Lucas's death. You weren't saving him. You killed him. Ethan's face shattered, his voice raw. No, Abigail, that was a setup. Hale forced me to play along to protect Lucas. I sabotaged the termination, but Hale triggered the nanotech anyway. I'm why Lucas lasted as long as he did. Nova's growl softened, her eyes on Ethan, as if absolving him. But Abigail's rage boiled, her voice fierce. You should have told me, Ethan. Lucas trusted you, and you let him die. Sophie's voice cut through, urgent. Upload's complete, but Hale's team is here. Now. The clearing shook, a drone's missile exploding nearby, flames roaring. Abigail scooped up the drive, her voice resolute. Nova, we're not done. Lead us out. Nova staggered up, bloodied but fierce, her bark guiding them through the smoke as choppers roared overhead. Hale's, not the FBI's. Ethan grabbed Abigail's arm, his voice thick with guilt. I failed, Lucas, but I'll die for you and Nova. Let me fight. Abigail's eyes burned, her hand on Nova's trembling flank. One chance, Ethan. For her. Nova's growl was a promise, her instincts a lifeline as they fled, the drive their weapon against Hale's empire, But Ethan's deeper betrayal and the chopper's roar warned of a showdown that could break them all. The Cedar Grove airstrip was a graveyard of rust and shadows, the Montana dawn barely breaking through the fog as Abigail Turner, Ethan Walsh, and Sophie Carter sprinted across the cracked tarmac, Nova staggering at their side. Abigail, 36, clutched the Project Vanguard hard drive, her brown hair matted with sweat, green eyes blazing with defiance despite the weight of betrayal. Nova, Lucas Bennett's 4-year-old German Shepherd canine, limped on bloodied legs, her black and tan coat scarred, her growl a fierce pulse of loyalty. The drive held proof of a nanotech weapon tested on Lucas and Nova, sold by General Victor Hale to foreign buyers. Ethan's deeper deception, his role in Lucas's termination plan, had fractured Abigail's trust, but Nova's unwavering faith in him kept them tethered, the airstrip their last stand against Hale's relentless strike team. Abigail's lungs burned, her hands steadying Nova, voice thick with desperation. "You're our hero, girl. We're finishing this for Lucas." Nova's brown eyes met hers, a spark of resolve that echoed her brother's sacrifice. Ethan, battered and grim, scanned the fog, gun drawn, his dark eyes heavy with guilt. "FBI choppers inbound," he said, voice low, urgent. "We hold the hangar till it lands." "Sophie, get that drive online." Sophie, clutching her laptop, blonde hair spilling from her cap, nodded, her blue eyes sharp. "Uploading to the FBI now, but Hale's jammers are back, signals shaky." She ducked into the hangar, its rusted walls creaking, crates of Vanguard tech stacked high. Nova's growl deepened, her nose sniffing the air, pointing to the tree line where engines roared. Hale's mercenaries, 10 strong, their rifles glinting, led by Colonel Marcus Reed, a cold-eyed officer in tactical gear. Abigail's heart pounded, Ethan's betrayal raw. "You let Lucas die, Ethan," she said, voice trembling with rage. "How do I know you won't sell us out again?" Ethan's face crumpled, his voice raw. "I sabotaged Hale's plan, Abigail. I kept Lucas alive as long as I could. Nova's here because of me." "I'll prove it. Let me fight for you." Nova whined, nudging Ethan's leg, her trust a fragile anchor. Abigail's eyes burned, voice fierce. "For her, Ethan." "Don't make me regret this." Reed's voice cut through the fog, icy and commanding. "Turner, the drive now, or your dogs first." He raised his rifle, his men fanning out, drones buzzing above, their red lasers locking on Nova. Abigail stood tall, her voice defiant. "You'll have to kill us all, Reed. Nova's a canine hero, and you're nothing compared to her." Nova's bark was a thunderclap, her body coiling despite her wounds. Ethan released her leash, voice a command. "Nova, take." The dog surged, her training a blur, tackling Reed, her jaws knocking his rifle free. Reed roared, hitting the ground as Ethan fired, dropping 2 mercenaries. Sophie threw a crate, toppling a third, her voice fierce. "Stay away from my signal!" Abigail swung a metal rod, striking a fourth, her voice raw. "This is for Lucas." But a drone fired, its missile exploding near Nova, the blast throwing her to the ground. Abigail screamed, diving to shield her, voice breaking. "Nova, hold on!" the dog yelped, blood seeping but growled, staggering up, her eyes fierce. Ethan tackled a mercenary aiming at Abigail, his voice desperate. "Keep her alive, Abigail!" Sophie's laptop pinged, the upload complete, her voice triumphant. "It's live. FBI's got everything. Hale's done." But Reed, bloodied, rose, pulling a detonator, his voice venomous. You think this ends with me? Hale's just the start. Vanguard's global. The twist hit like a shock. A new figure emerged from the hangar. General Victor Hale himself, his uniform pristine, pistol raised. "Enough, Reed," Hale barked, his eyes cold. "Turner, you're tenacious, but you're out of your depth. The drive, or I end this now." Abigail's blood ran cold, Hale's presence a gut punch. "You killed my brother," she screamed, voice trembling. "You used Nova, turned them into weapons. You're the monster here." Hale's laugh was ice, his gun aimed at Nova. Bennett was a means to an end. Vanguard's the future. Soldiers, dogs, all enhanced. You can't stop progress. Ethan stepped forward, gun raised, voice raw. "You betrayed us, Hale. Lucas trusted you, and you murdered him. It's over." Nova's growl was a vow, her body shielding Abigail, her eyes locked on Hale. Sophie uploaded a final file, her voice fierce. "The world's watching, Hale. Your buyers, your allies, they're all exposed." Hale's face twisted, but chopper blades roared. FBI, not his, their spotlights flooding the airstrip. "You're too late," Hale sneered, pressing the detonator. The hangar exploded, flames roaring, but Nova surged, tackling Hale, her jaws clamping his wrist, dragging him down. Hale screamed, his pistol firing wild as Abigail dove for the drive, voice desperate. "Nova, hold!" Ethan fired, wounding Reed as FBI agents stormed in, cuffing the mercenaries. Abigail knelt beside Nova, checking her wounds, voice thick with relief. "You did it, girl. You saved us." Nova whined, nuzzling her, bloodied but unbroken. Sophie secured the laptop, voice grim. Hale's down, but someone's still out there. A patron in the files, bigger than him. Ethan's eyes glistened, voice raw. "I failed Lucas, Abigail, but not you." "Nova's the hero. She always was." Abigail hugged Nova, tears falling. "She's Lucas's heart, Ethan. We're not done yet." But Hale's final words chilled her. "You think you've won." The patrons watching. Nova's bark rang out, a defiant call as the FBI secured the scene, the drive their victory. But the patrons' shadow loomed, promising a fight that would test their hearts to the breaking point. The Cedar Grove sun hung high over the Montana hills, bathing the newly opened Bennett K-9 sanctuary in a golden warmth that felt like a fragile promise of peace. Abigail Turner stood in the training yard, her brown hair catching the breeze, green eyes softened by a hard-won calm. Nova, Lucas Bennett's 4-year-old German Shepherd K-9, bounded through the grass, chasing a ball with a joy that belied her scarred black and tan coat, her wounds from the airstrip battle healing. The Project Vanguard files had toppled General Victor Hale and Colonel Marcus Reed, exposing their nanotech weapon scheme and its deadly tests on Lucas and Nova. Cedar Grove was rebuilding, but Hale's chilling warning, a mysterious patron still at large, cast a shadow over their victory. Abigail tossed the ball, Nova leaping to catch it, her bark ringing with life. "You're our heart, girl," she said, a smile breaking through her grief-worn face. The sanctuary, named for Lucas, was a haven for veterans and their K-9s, a testament to his sacrifice and Nova's unbreakable loyalty. Ethan Walsh leaned against a fence, his rugged frame relaxed, dark eyes reflecting a mix of guilt and pride. He'd redeemed his betrayal, his undercover role in Vanguard, by fighting for Abigail and Nova. But the cost of Lucas's death still weighed heavy. Sophie Carter, the hacker who'd cracked the files, sat on a bench, her blonde hair loose, blue eyes scanning a tablet for leads on the patron. The community had rallied around them, the sanctuary a beacon of hope, but the threat lingered, a quiet menace in the air. Abigail knelt beside Nova, ruffling her fur, voice thick with gratitude. "You never gave up, girl." Lucas would be so proud. Nova nuzzled her hand, eyes bright, a spark of her old self shining through, a bond that had carried them through hell. Ethan approached, his voice soft but heavy. "Abigail, this place, it's what Lucas would have wanted. But I'm sorry for everything. I should have saved him." Abigail's eyes glistened, her voice steady but warm. "You fought for us, Ethan. Nova trusts you, and that's enough. We're family now, because of her." Sophie looked up, her voice sharp. "Guys, we've got a problem." She turned her tablet, showing a leaked email. "Patron protocol active. Cedar Grove targeted. It's encrypted, but it's from a Pentagon server. The patron's moving, and they're close." Abigail's heart sank, Hale's words echoing. "The patron's watching." "They're coming for Nova, aren't they?" she asked, voice trembling. "After everything, they still want her." Nova's ears twitched, her body tensing, a low growl rumbling as she stared at the sanctuary's gate. Abigail's pulse quickened, her voice urgent. "Nova, what's out there?" She followed the dog's gaze, spotting a black van parked across the road, its tinted windows ominous, a faint hum emanating from it. Ethan drew his gun, his voice grim. "Stay here. I'll check it out." But Nova barked, sharp and fierce, sprinting toward the gate, her wounds slowing her but her instincts razor sharp. Abigail ran after her, heart pounding, voice desperate. "Nova, wait!" The van's engine roared, tires screeching as it sped off, but Nova pawed at a small package left at the gate, its blinking light chillingly familiar. Abigail grabbed it, hand shaking, revealing a USB drive and a note. "Vanguard lives, surrender the dog." Sophie plugged the drive into her tablet, her voice trembling. "Oh, it's a live feed, us, right now from a drone." The screen showed the sanctuary, zoomed in on Nova, a red laser dot dancing on her flank. Abigail's blood ran cold, the twist a shockwave. The patron wasn't just watching. They were hunting, and Nova was their prize. "They'll never take her," she said, voice fierce, clutching Nova's collar. Ethan's eyes blazed, his voice urgent. "That drone's close, above the trees." He fired, the shot echoing, the drone crashing in a shower of sparks. But Nova's growl turned frantic, her nose sniffing the wreckage, uncovering a tiny chip labeled Pentagon Secure. Sophie's face paled, her voice grim. "This is next-level tech. The patron's not just military, they're untouchable." Abigail's resolve hardened, her hand on Nova's trembling fur. Untouchable or not, they killed Lucas. Nova's his legacy, and we're protecting her. Sophie's tablet pinged, a new file loading, a dossier naming the patron. Senator Elizabeth Carver, a revered politician with ties to global arms dealers. Abigail's heart stopped, voice shaking. Carver. She funded Vanguard, used Hale as a pawn. Lucas died because of her. Nova's bark was a clarion call, her body shielding Abigail, as if sensing the unseen threat. Ethan's voice was fierce. "We've got proof now, Abigail. Carver's exposed, but she'll come for us. Hard." The sanctuary's peace shattered as a faint hum echoed. A second drone, its red light flickering through the clouds. Sophie's voice cut through, urgent. "The FBI's got the files, but Carver's blocking them." We need to move now. Abigail stood, Nova pressing against her leg, voice resolute. We're not running. This is Lucas's fight, Nova's fight. We end this together. Ethan nodded, his eyes glistening. I failed Lucas, but not you, not her. Let's take Carver down. Sophie packed her laptop, voice fierce. I'm in, Abigail, for Nova, for justice. But as they prepared to move, Nova's growl turned sharp, her nose pointing to the woods, where a shadow moved, vanishing into the mist. Abigail's heart raced, the notes warning. Surrender the dog. A chilling promise of war. She knelt beside Nova, cupping her face, voice thick with love. You're Lucas's heart, girl. We're not letting them win. Nova's eyes met hers, a vow of loyalty, as the drone's hum grew louder, a reminder that Carver's reach was vast and their fight was far from over. Abigail faced the audience, her words raw, piercing. Nova and I lost Lucas, faced betrayal, fought impossible odds. But loyalty, hers, ours, kept us standing. Who's been your Nova, your anchor in the dark? Share your story with us. Join this fight, because we're not done yet. Nova barked, tail wagging, a call to action that stirred the soul. As the sanctuary's light flickered, the patron's shadow looming, ready to strike at the heart of their hope. The Cedar Grove twilight bathed the Bennett K9 sanctuary in a soft purple glow, the Montana hills whispering peace over the training yard. Abigail Turner stood at its heart, her brown hair loose, green eyes reflecting a hard-won calm. Nova, Lucas Bennett's 4-year-old German Shepherd K9, chased a ball across the grass, her black and tan coat gleaming despite her scars, her joyful bark a testament to their survival. The Project Vanguard files had toppled General Victor Hale and Colonel Marcus Reed, exposing their nanotech weapon scheme that killed Lucas and tested Nova. Senator Elizabeth Carver, the shadowy patron, was named in the files, her empire shaken, but her escape left a lingering threat. Ethan Walsh and Sophie Carter stood nearby, their bond with Abigail and Nova forged in fire, the sanctuary a beacon of hope for veterans and their K9s. Abigail tossed the ball, Nova leaping to catch it, her energy a light in the dusk. You're our miracle girl, Abigail said, her voice warm, a smile breaking through her grief. The sanctuary was Lucas's legacy, a place of healing, built on Nova's unbreakable loyalty. Ethan, his rugged frame relaxed, leaned against a fence, dark eyes soft with redemption. This place, it's what Lucas fought for, Abigail. I'm sorry I wasn't enough to save him. Abigail's gaze softened, voice steady. You fought for us, Ethan. Nova knew you were true even when I doubted. We're here because of you, too. Sophie, blonde hair spilling over her shoulders, checked her tablet, blue eyes sharp. Carver's on the run, but the FBI's closing in. The files are viral. Vanguard's done. Nova's ears twitched, her body tensing, a low growl rumbling as she stared at the sanctuary's gate. Abigail's pulse quickened, voice urgent. Nova! What's wrong? She followed the dog's gaze, spotting a glint, a black sedan idling across the road, its tinted windows chillingly familiar. Ethan drew his gun, voice grim. They're back. Stay here. But Nova barked, fierce and sharp, sprinting toward the gate, her wounds no match for her instincts. Abigail ran after her, heart pounding, voice desperate. Nova, stop! The sedan's engine roared, tires screeching as it fled. But Nova pawed at a small package left at the gate, its blinking light a haunting echo of the drones. Abigail grabbed it, hands trembling, revealing a USB drive and a note. "Carver's end is your beginning. Watch your back." Sophie plugged the drive into her tablet, voice shaking. "It's a live feed. The sanctuary now, from a drone." The screen showed Nova, a red laser dot on her flank, zooming out to reveal a man in a suit, Director Paul Vance, a Pentagon insider watching from a hidden office. Abigail's blood ran cold. The twist a shockwave. Carver was a pawn, and Vance, the true patron, had orchestrated vanguard from the shadows. "Vance," Abigail whispered, voice trembling. "He used Carver, Hale, all of them. Lucas died for his game." Nova's bark was a clarion call, her body shielding Abigail as if sensing the unseen enemy. Ethan's voice was fierce. "He's untouchable, Abigail, but we've got proof. The FBI needs this, now." Sophie's fingers flew, voice urgent. "Uploading, but Vance is blocking it. He's got Pentagon firewalls." The sanctuary's calm shattered as a hum echoed. Drones, 3 strong, their red lights flickering through the dusk. Abigail's heart raced, voice resolute. "They're coming for Nova." "We end this here." Ethan nodded, gun raised. "For Lucas, for Nova, I'm with you." Sophie packed her laptop, voice fierce. "Let's bury Vance." Nova's growl turned sharp, her nose pointing to the woods where shadows moved. Vance's operatives, 6 armed figures closing in. Abigail released Nova's leash, voice a command. "Nova, take!" The dog surged, her canine training defying her scars, tackling an operative, her jaws clamping his arm. He screamed, rifle falling, as Ethan fired, dropping 2 others. Sophie threw a training crate, toppling a 3rd, her voice defiant. "Not today, creeps!" Abigail swung a metal rod, striking a 4th, voice raw. "This is for Lucas," but a 5th operative aimed at Nova, his shot grazing her side. The dog yelped, staggering, and Abigail dove to shield her, sobbing. "Nova, stay with me!" Ethan tackled the shooter, voice desperate. "Abigail, keep her alive!" Nova's eyes flickered, blood seeping, but she growled, standing, her spirit unbreakable. Abigail pressed her hands to the wound, voice thick. "You're his heart, girl." "We're not done." The drones fired, missiles exploding, but FBI choppers roared overhead, their spotlights flooding the yard. Agents stormed in, cuffing the operatives, securing the drive. Abigail hugged Nova, tears streaming. "You saved us, girl. Lucas would be so proud." Nova nuzzled her, bloodied but defiant, a hero to the end. Ethan knelt beside them, voice raw. "I failed, Lucas, but you and Nova, you're my redemption." Sophie secured the tablet, voice grim. "Vance is exposed, but he's still out there. This isn't over." Abigail stood, Nova at her side, voice resolute. "We'll find him, for Lucas, for Nova. This sanctuary's our promise. No one's forgotten." She faced the audience, words piercing. "Nova and I lost Lucas, faced betrayal, fought darkness. Loyalty kept us whole. Who's been your Nova, your light in the storm? Share your story. Join our fight because we're not done." A host stepped forward, voice warm, urgent. "Abigail and Nova's story proves loyalty conquers all. Subscribe, like, share your stories below. Support this channel. Keep their fight alive." As the screen faded, Nova barked, tail wagging, a beacon of hope. But in the sanctuary's office, a hidden phone buzzed, a text from Vance. "You won't see me coming." The battle was won, but the war loomed, and Nova's heart would face its ultimate test.